So we are seeing the context of Karma Yoga in the second chapter of the Geeta. 47th verse we saw Karma Nivadikaraste, that we have the qualification to act and we have no capacity to govern the result. And let the purity of mind be the motive of action, not just the attainment of a specific result. And let one not resort to inaction. Then we saw yesterday the Chatusutri of Karma Yoga. Yogastha Kuru Karmani, established in a higher ideal, let us do the work. Sangam Tyatva Dhananjaya, giving up attachments, and in that context we saw attachment to four things: attachment to the result, attachment to a specific way, attachment to the very need to do action, and attachment to doers. And then it was said Siddhya Siddhyo Samo Bhutva. When the results come, one has to accept them as they come, without internally fluctuating, losing control. Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. This equanimity of the mind is called as yoga. So, action can lead to equanimity when it is done in the right way. And the same action, when it is not performed with the right attitude, can lead to disturbance of the mind. So the fault is not with the type of action. The fault is with the attitude behind it. So many people think that the worldly duties, responsibilities are the cause of my agitation. So I want to take a break, I want to go away somewhere and do some spiritual pursuit, some spiritual sadhana. There I will attain peace of mind. The method of the Geeta is very clear. If I do not find peace in work, I cannot find peace within myself. In meditation, peace cannot be found. Because as we saw yesterday, the depth, if it is not clear, if it is still impurity is there in the depth with selfishness and what all we saw yesterday, the 6 enemies of the mind, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. These 6 are still there in the mind. Peace to attain is very difficult. So it is not about external activity. That's why in the 3rd chapter you will see even this horrible act of killing one's own people. Bhagavan says you can do that with the attitude of karma. Now what can be worse than this? We have to manage our office, our home, family, people, responsibilities, social obligations. None of that can be worse than killing one's own grandfather and teacher and relatives. In that situation also one can apply this karma. That if my attitude is that this is my duty and I am doing it for a higher purpose to protect dharma, that's about it. The mind will remain equanimous, balanced. So this equanimity of the mind, peace of mind in work is very important. Efficiency etc. will anyway improve if all this happens. And one can also say that the progress in one's spiritual life, one can judge by this capacity that before work, during work, after work, how peaceful I am. Now peaceful does not mean no thought. Peaceful meaning no conflict. In the mind there is no conflict. I am happily able to do it. There is total acceptance of this particular situation that I have been placed here and I do it with joy. Whether it is at home or whether it is at office or some responsibility I have taken up, let us say in my building I am the secretary, whatever that is. Dragging oneself through it is the first cause of agitation. That we saw day before yesterday in Gurudev's talk. That one who is not inspired will drag oneself through that work and that is called labor. So if I am inspired and I do that work, then there is peace inside and a lot of dynamism outside. And such a mind, you see, a lot of creativity also will happen in that mind. Creative thoughts will come, new ideas will come. You can think big, you can achieve greater things. All that will happen. Because the mind is free from petty, paltry, little agitations, non-acceptance, resistance, fighting, why am I here, I don't like this, I don't want to do this. All those thoughts are not there. So the mind is at peace. Mind which is at peace is mind which is conflict free. Mind which is conflict free is only a mind which has accepted that this is the situation. And such a person, when one acts, there is peace before. Out of that peace one acts, that is itself inspiring. And when the action is done, it doesn't worry that person anymore. Because I gave my best. Now whatever result comes, I am ready to accept again. So these 4 aspects we saw, samatvam yoga uchyate. This one definition of yoga we should remember. Samatvam yoga uchyate. And in and through my work, am I being able to retain that samta, balance, peace of mind. Even in the most provoking situation, I should be able to keep my mind cool. Actually, that is the sadhana, that is the effort. Now he goes on, continuing this thought a little more for two more verses he continues. So we take 49. Durena hyavaram karma Buddhi yoga dhananjaya Buddhau sharanam anvichcha Kripana phala hetavaha. So he says, Durena hyavaram karma. Karma here indicates labor or work, gross work that one does, dragging oneself is karma. That is lower compared to what? Buddhi yoga, compared to this Buddhi yoga. Buddhi yoga is inspired work. When there's an ideal in my mind and I am inspired, I want to achieve that ideal, which is greater than myself, which makes me go beyond myself, where this I becomes lesser. That ideal whoever finds, and then one holds on to that ideal and one works. Even it could be just the simple ideal that in work, let me be peaceful before, during, after. Now with that ideal in mind, I work. So whatever is that ideal, when there is an ideal in the mind, then only that becomes Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yoga, why it is called Buddhi Yoga? Because I maintain the ideal in my Buddhi and then I work. I don't work out of instinct, I don't work out of impulse. I feel like doing it, so I do it. Today I don't feel like doing it, so I don't do. Not like that, not impulsive, not instinctive. But steady work because I am inspired by it intellectually and I am able to harness my mind. Whatever is the situation of the mind, I am able to pull it up and still do. So Buddhi Yoga. So one intellectual ideal one must have. See, when intellectual ideal is not there in our life, we get stuck in small petty little things. What is the intellectual ideal that I am following right now? I should ask myself. It could be many things. It could be a value that I am trying to apply in my life. I am trying to be straightforward, or I am trying to be honest, or I am trying to be selfless. So that is the ideal that I am convinced of, that value I am convinced of intellectually, and I know that this is, I want to live it without compromise. That is called Buddha Sharanam Anvichya. Take the refuge of the Buddhi. Very few people, you can count them on the fingertips, very few people are there who live actually at the intellectual level. They are called intellectuals. People who live without compromise what they are convinced of. Somebody who is just rational, logical, or sometimes even skeptic in one's thinking, that person is not called as an intellectual. Person who is able to live the convictions of one's intellect without compromise is an intellectual. One may take time to come to that conviction, but one just lives. Once one is convinced, one will just live without compromise. Nobody can shake that person after that. Such men of substance, women of substance, is what we call intellectuals. These are spiritual men who will not compromise. The famous saying you must have heard, if you don't stand for something, you fall for everything. And that's what happens. You see in the world today, who stands for what? Very few people stand for their intellectual conviction. At the moment we say you stand up for intellectual conviction, the thought comes in the mind that it will be very difficult. I have to sacrifice a lot, I will have to suffer a lot, I don't know what to do. So Buddha Sharanam Anvichya says, because majority live only at two levels, body and mind. Physical level, indulgence, sense enjoyment, pleasure, that drives the person. Or some emotional exchange. Intellectual values, ideas, achievement, ability to not compromise, all those very few people actually live. And fewer people live at the spiritual level, where they recognize the same divinity in everyone and they live those spiritual values. They can love unconditionally, serve tirelessly. So majority live only at physical and emotional level, and we have to lift ourselves step by step. Before we can come to realize the spiritual truth and live at the spiritual level, the intellectual level is a very important level, where one will not compromise. Either it should be in intellectual integrity, which is what we call integrity, thought, word and deed is the same, in a positive and a dharmic way. Otherwise thought, word and deed can be same even in a terrorist. Same. What he thinks that he does, goes there, bombs, finish, over. Not that. In a dharmic way.
We get caught up at an emotional level, so you have fear, anger, jealousy, which can cloud and therefore keep me from. So how do you integrate?
So the same thing is the solution for it. When I have a higher ideal in my mind, I will not allow this clouding to happen. Arjun, what has happened? Same thing has happened to him. No? He has forgotten the ideal, so now he is disturbed by attachment, and then there is so much of agitation, and then there is anger, and then there is so much of hesitation, fear, all that has come. Because both go hand in hand also. When we get overwhelmed, then we are not able to live the ideal. Because we are not able to live the ideal, we easily get overwhelmed. So the solution for that is that when I am quiet, in my moments when the mind is quiet and satsang when I am there, I must develop that intellectual conviction that this is the ideal and this I will live uncompromisingly, and develop that willpower. When that willpower is developed, when that clarity is there, even the mind may by habit become overwhelmed, but I have that small part in me which says that this is the ideal that I am holding on. I will not feel lost. So that is one aspect. Second aspect is, when this is done, many times what happens to us is we wantedly compromise. You see, if mind is clouded, one part of the mind knows that this is not right to do, and I know that this is ideal, but I wantedly compromise and I weaken my own buddhi. Then I am giving more and more power to my own mind to overwhelm me. So that compromise, when I know it, that should be avoided. That is the biggest damage that happens. It steadily kills the willpower. It steadily kills that urge to evolve higher. Because one just gives in to a temptation. In a simple level, I know I have a diabetes, let us say, and I should not eat sweets. Complete clarity is there about that, why should I not eat, why this is required, everything. But then the mind wants. So then I give in. And every time I give in, my willpower becomes weaker and weaker. After some time what happens? I say, kya farak padta hai? So it is a very nice concept. If my actions are not according to my values will change according to my actions. That is what will happen. The person who lives first type of a life, whose actions are in conformity with the values, does not compromise, struggles, that person is a seeker. But when I don't follow those principles, action becomes according to values become according to my action. 4 days I will get up early in the morning, go for a jog, I want to do that. Get up early in the morning, shut the alarm off and go to sleep. 5th day the mind will say, what is the use of keeping the alarm? No need of alarm. My action only will change my whole value system. It should be the other way. Value system must guide the action. That requires clarity, and that is the attitude of no compromise. There is a difference between this and obstinacy. Person who becomes obsessed, person who becomes obstinate, that is at the mind level, where logic does not apply also sometimes. I want to do it means I want to do it. Whether it is good for you, bad for you, what is going to happen, I don't bother. I am just going to do it. That is called obstinacy. But when I am convinced of something and I know this is good for me, I have that strength not to compromise. That is intellectual clarity and conviction. That is not being obstinate. So Buddha Sharanam Anvicha. One ideal, one has to just discover one ideal or one value that this I will not compromise. Slowly I build that, what we call, this is called intellectual stamina. And people are worried about the physical stamina. You have to walk 4 kilometers every day, then you build certain stamina, then slowly you increase to 6 kilometers, then little more stamina, then you start jogging. Very good. Intellectual stamina, what about that? That too we don't think. A society where there is intellectual stamina is very low, we'll see what we are seeing all around us. Where is the intellectual strength? And Gurudev used to say that man is the roof and crown of creation only because of the intellectual strength. He said if intellectually you do fall, we are worse than animals. Because animals are stronger than us. They can withstand any problems in the weather also, they will withstand any type of food available, not available, storm, everything they will withstand. And their physical strength is much more than ours. We can't even compete with them. That's why you will see in the second chapter ahead it will come. Buddhi nashat pranashyati. That if intellect is destroyed, a man is destroyed. So, Buddhav Sharanam Anvicha, this is a very nice line, that let me seek the refuge of my intellect. Centered in what am I acting in my life, that I have to find out. And slowly I have to lift myself. If I am actually acting centered at the body level, whole life, majority of the day, most of the time of the day, how do I spend? I have to analyze. Am I spending at body oriented level? Or am I just dealing at an emotional level, taking everything personally, reacting, not being able to respond appropriately, losing the peace of mind for small little things? Am I intellectually, emotionally centered and acting? Or am I intellectually centered? That I know that this is the ideal, keep the mind in balance all the time, be selfless. Those are the ideals that I value, and I live centered in those. Even if I can't live whole day centered in those, whenever I get out of focus, I pull myself back to that. That is the real sadhana. Such a person can go to the spiritual level. And if you see the lives of some of these masters, you will find that they were able to realize the truth very fast because they had this power. So Vivekananda ji was with his master only for 2 years. 1884 he met Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. 1886 Ramakrishna took Samadhi. Only 2 years. But he was such an intellectual. He went on asking people that, have you seen God, have you seen God, have you seen God? He will not believe. And what he is convinced of, he will not compromise. He used to say a very nice statement. He used to say that a confirmed atheist is better than a confused theist. Because at least he has thought, the atheist has thought through and he has come to a conclusion that there is no God and I deny God. Now that guy lives according to that conviction. A confused theist doesn't know whether God exists, does not exist, God is one, but why am I worshipping so many forms? You tell them you remove all the forms, keep one form. Oh, no. God is one, but I can't remove all these forms. Completely confused. And for each and everything, go to one different God. As though that one God which is there will not give you whatever else you want. No, Lakshmi ke liye to we have to go to Mother Lakshmi. Health we have to go to Mrityunjay. Then Saturday I have to go to Shani temple and offer that oil to Hanumanji. And one Ishta Devata can bless you with everything. And Advaita says, essentially you are that actually, you don't even know that. So confused theist. So he said confirmed atheist is better than a confused theist. Gurudev himself, he was a self-proclaimed atheist. Though in his childhood he comes from such a deeply religious family and a background, when he went to Lucknow University, he became an atheist, self-proclaimed atheist. Convinced totally. And he would live his conviction, no compromise in that at all. Initial years, very initial years, when he used to do yajna, he had a habit of smoking also. So when he used to study with Swami Shivanandaji, he had befriended some tea stall owner. And then now and then he used to go and smoke in Uttarkashi and studying with Tapon Maharaj, who was such a strict disciplinarian. So somebody went and complained to Tapon Maharaj that, Swamiji, do you know Chinmaya? He smokes. And Tapon Maharaj that time he said that I am more concerned about the inner smoke than the outer smoke. No, he said I am more concerned about the inner fire than the outer smoke. When he came down to start giving the talks, Gurudev started giving talks. I don't know how true the information is, but it is written in the biography that some people used to stand with the ashtray and a cigarette, that when he comes down from the Vyaspeed, they will give him that. And at one day, he decided to stop. Bas, stop, full stop, nothing, no turning back after that. Many such instances in his life where he just lived his intellectual conviction, no compromise. When that whole Ayodhya temple, that Babri Masjid was brought down, fearlessly he said what was done was right, and we will build the mosque for the Muslims and give it there, next to the mosque, there next to the temple. And people said, how can you say like this? And there will be attacks. And in Powai, the brahmacharis were given sticks. Each brahmachari was given stick that time, 91. 91 or 93, I don't remember. 93, 92. Each brahmachari was given a stick. They said, you see, there is a threat of attack happening on our ashram because Gurudev has made such a bold statement. Now you are left to yourself because police refused to give any protection, nothing. Gurudev was fearless, absolutely convinced that this is the right thing to do, and he spoke. Nothing happened. No attack happened, nothing. But he was very clear in his thinking, and what he is convinced of, no compromise in that, and he would just live by it. Such people, you will find a lot of them, not only in spiritual field, even in the other fields, people who have that intellectual stamina not to compromise, they are the people who progress very fast. So Buddhau Sharanam Anveksha. So what are those ideas that I value, which I will never compromise? I must find out that and just stick to that and slowly build. And you will see one good thing happens in this is that we do not fall in our own eyes. The person who keeps compromising, the willpower not only becomes weak and becomes totally, the person becomes incapable of doing anything against one's own impulse and instinct. But the person falls in one's own eyes, the self-esteem falls. Especially as a seeker, when I know that this is wrong and I should not do it, and I keep doing it, very soon I lose that self-esteem. I don't respect myself. I will fall into low self-esteem, feel very weak, feel I need support, somebody should help me, I will feel depressed, keep getting angry, irritable. All those things happen because I have fallen in my own eyes, because I have compromised. So Buddhau Sharanam Anveksha, Kripana Phala Hetavaha. People who seek only the results, they are miserly. Why? Because there is so much more you can get and you are seeking only this much, one result. You can get peace of mind, you can get integrity of character, you can get intellectual stamina, you can get spiritual growth, you can get so many things, benefits of karma. No, but I want only that result. Then that is miser. Very strange it is. No? The miser is a person who tries to save, everything that one has and doesn't want to spend. In the hope that I am saving much more, accumulating much more. But actually one is losing in this path. One is losing all those things and becoming a pauper. In the worldly way, the miser becomes richer and richer. Does not spend the money, keeps on accumulating. In the spiritual path, a miser is the one who loses everything. Because such a wonderful chance to achieve so many things if the attitude shifts. But then I don't look at that way. It loses. So, Kripana Phala Hetava. So I should ask myself, who is my driver? Whose refuge have I taken? See, Arjun did one nice thing, no? He actually took the refuge of Bhagwan. Bhagwan became his charioteer. In our life, who is the charioteer? Is the Buddhi the charioteer? In the Geeta chariot, the senses are the horses and the reins represent the mind. And the reins must be in the control of the charioteer. Now this charioteer, if the charioteer is only drunk, what to do? In our life, charioteer is also drunk. Reins are also not in control. All the horses are running in their own direction. And the master doesn't know where to go. Then we want success in life. Not possible only. So that's why Bhagavan says, Buddhau Sharanam Anvicha. Live at the intellectual level and seek the refuge of the intellect. That is the best way to overcome emotional turbulence and physical dependencies, is to live at the intellectual level without compromise. I can practice, let us say, one ideal only I take up, only one, that okay, from tomorrow every day I will get up at 6 o'clock, or from tomorrow I will do one mala of japa, or I will do my exercise for 20 minutes. Whatever I take up, in that there should not be any compromise. No compromise at all. Suppose I say 20 minutes I will do walking. You will start seeing at 10 minutes only the mind says, आज के लिए बस. पहले तो मैं कुछ करता भी नहीं था, अभी तो 10 मिनट किया. It's a great improvement. You see, what we decide, the mind exactly starts telling us the opposite of that. That is called disintegration. Work is supposed to bring integration in my life, not disintegration. Any sadhana you see, this is the peculiar trait of the mind. Suppose you say one mala of japa I will do, it will say half mala is enough. Suppose you say one small mala of 27 beats, you say 11 times is enough. It will start compromising. Whatever we decide, it is just the trick of the mind not to lose its power. That's all. Because it has been given so much of power all the time. Now I am trying to take that power away and put it to the buddhi, that I will live at the intellectual level, I will not live at the emotional level. Whatever the mind says, I am just not going to keep following it just like that. If it is in line with what is right, what is dharma, what is beneficial, then I will follow. Otherwise I don't need to follow. That kind of training of the mind is what education is supposed to do to us. But that only does not happen. Everything else happens. So this is called integration, and buddhi gives us that integration. When I live, actually according to my principles of the buddhi. Buddhau sharanam anvicha kripana phala hetava. 50th verse. Buddhi yukto jahatiha ubhe sukrita dushkrite tasmad yogaya yujyasva yoga karmasu kaushalam. So he says, buddhi yukto jahati iha. A person who lives with the intellectual conviction, jahati, drops. What does the person drop? Drops two things. Ubhe. What? Good and bad. Sukrita, dushkrita. Tasmad yogaya yujyasva. Hence, yoke yourself to this attitude, karma yoga. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. And this yoga is dexterity in action. See, two definitions of yoga. Very beautiful definitions. One is samatvam yoga uchyate, and second is yoga karmasu kaushalam. Dexterity in action is yoga. And there is no contradiction between both. Because one seems to be peaceful, balanced, equanimous. Another is be efficient, be dexterous, achieve. That is yoga. It is not opposite. Both go hand in hand. If there is equanimity, then dexterity will happen. And that is kaushalam. Dexterity in action is not, a lot of people say, Swamiji, I am a go-getter. I get what I want anyhow. That is not dexterity in action. To get anything anyhow, no. In the right way one has to approach and get it. The pickpocket also gets it anyhow. What is the point? I may copy in the exam and get the certain particular percentage. That is no point. There was one couple. They both were pickpocketers. They both got married. And then they were going to have a child. So they said our child should be international pickpocketer. They dreamt, we will make the child international pickpocketer. Very good. So finally the child is born. And then the child, when he is born, they are so happy. And the child is also very happy, smiling. But the child is not opening the fist. So they are so disappointed that the nurse is trying and the doctor is trying, but the child is not opening the fist. So they are very disappointed, saying, "Arey, what is this now? This fellow is born with some defect or what? He is not opening the fist. How will he do pickpocketing?" And finally, they put a lot of effort and then they actually open the fist of the child and they find the ring of the nurse is there inside. As he came out only, he already flicked it. That is called dexterity in action. That is not yoga karma sukhaushala. And somehow do anything, get anything, How to get that right attitude? So he says here, buddhi yukto jahati hai ubhe sukrita duskriti. Now this is the higher level in karma yoga. What is the benefit of karma yoga? This is the spiritual level. See, karma bandhan is what actually, every karma that I do, I get a result. I cannot escape that. Now to enjoy that result, I need a equipment, I need a body. Now every karma phala will not come in this life. Some karmas come now, some karma phalas come later, and some karma phalas come after many lives also. So now to enjoy the karma phala, I need a certain body, certain equipment, certain environment to enjoy that. So every karma gives the result. So whichever karma has not given the result, that gets accumulated. And then when the time is ready, I will take an appropriate body, that becomes the cause of my birth. So I go from birth to birth only to exhaust the result of my karma, to enjoy that karma. And while enjoying that karma, I am creating new ones. So now it is an endless cycle of birth and death. So every karma I do creates more karmas. And to enjoy that, I have to do more birth. In that birth, I create more karma. So it is endless. And how do I get out of that? I can never get out of karma bandhan by doing karma only. Not possible at all. Because as long as I am the karta, I will be the bhokta. So that karta bhav has to go. How the karta bhav will go? Only when the mind is quiet and one contemplates that am I actually the doer? I am not the doer. Bhagavan is the doer. I am only an equipment. That ahankar has to go. Doership has to go. For the doership to go, karma yoga is very important. Yesterday we saw those 3 levels. Till I don't drop, I can't drop the 4th one. Attachment to result, attachment to a specific way, and attachment to the need to do action. These 3 I have to drop. Then only the 4th one I can do. So karma yoga helps me to drop all the 3 and makes me ready to drop the 4th one, the doership. How? When I understand that I am not an instrument, I am not the doer. So that helps a person to go beyond doership. Hence, whether the result is good or result is bad, I am not bothered. Because the result is not my motive. That's why earlier it was said that don't keep the result as the motive. Because the moment that fixation on the result happens, I become the karta strongly. Then I am only the bhokta. Then I need body and then I am stuck in the cycle of birth and death. So if the result I am not insisting upon, I keep that in mind and keep focusing on the process. Then what happens? My process keeps getting refined. Slowly, I let work happen through me. I don't have the burden of doership. So the attachment to that result gone. Dependence on the result gone. So good result comes, bad result comes, doesn't matter. That's why it says, Jahati ubhe sukrita duskriti. And ultimately when doership goes away, then the result also doesn't belong to that person. That's how one becomes free. So he says here, that's why. So the good results also are bondage. Bad results, when we face, that is called as papa karma. good results when we have to face, it is called as punya. Punya and papa, we use the word karma, but that is very loose. Actually, it is karma phala. Punya is good karma phala, and papa is bad karma phala. Now, between punya and papa, if I have to choose, what is better? Punya is better. But when I see from the standpoint of ultimate freedom, then punya also is bondage only, because I have to come back. So from the supreme standpoint, punya also is bondage. It is like a golden chain, that's all. It is still a chain. Whether golden or copper, how does it matter? It is still a chain. If the bird is in a cage, golden cage, a bird is still in the cage. How does it matter which type of a cage it is? People who are ready to drop the doership can do this. Otherwise, in our level, if we are at the level of the jiva, we have to be very clear not to do papa and to continuously do that which will help us to build our punya. Because mystically, in a spiritual language, it is said that the more punya I have, that is the currency to get more satsang in life, to invoke the grace of the Lord in life, to have a Sadguru in life. Many, many times it is said in all the scriptures across all the worlds, all the cultures actually, that human body is got by the punyas of so many crores of lives. Sadguru's grace is because of the, you get a Sadguru because of the punya. One gets the grace of the Lord because of the punya. So punya is that currency. Satsang one gets only because of punya. And so it is said that keep doing selfless karma, keep focusing on the punya karma, do dhan, do charity, be humble, be loving to people, don't hurt anybody. All those moral values which are told to us is not only to keep the mind peaceful and happy here, but also to build our punya so that we attract the spiritual knowledge, the teacher, grace, all that into our lives, and then ultimately using that go beyond punya and papa. So from papa to punya, from punya to beyond. That is the journey. So in Bhaj Govindam there is a very nice shloka which says that who is this man of realization? Rathya charpata virachita kantha. That person lives like with a godri which is made from all kinds of pieces of cloth, rags, so like a quilt. Just stitches up and then lives. Meaning lives with absolutely bare minimum. Doesn't have any more demands in life. Simple living. But thinking is very high. Rathya charpata virachita kantha. Punya vivarjita pantha. The person walks the path which is beyond punya and papa. Meaning this. The person walks the path where one knows that actions happen through me, not by me. Empty. One lives empty. And how does he do that? Yogi yoga niyojita chitta. That person through this yoga has controlled the mind. Yoged it to the buddhi. So that the mind is not separate. Mind and buddhi have come together. That is an integrated person. Now such a person, ramate balo mattavare, that person lives in absolute spontaneity like a child and in complete intoxication of the truth like a drunkard. Very nice verse from Bhaj Govindam that is. So that is the path that one walks. So Karma Yoga ultimately leads us to this. Not only purity of mind here, not only success in the world outside, but ultimately Karma Yoga makes us reduce the doership and dismiss the doership. So go beyond punya and papa. And that is why Karma Yoga is much, much more powerful than even the acts of charity or helping somebody. Why? Because there the doership still remains. But if I really act with this spirit of Karma Yoga, that everything dedicated to the Lord and I am not the doer, that person goes beyond punya and papa. Bhagavan himself comes to that person. One does not even have to seek. And just now that Ashadi Purnima went, no? That is famous for what? Because Vitthal gave darshan to Pundalik. And that Pundalik was to serving his parents only. But Vitthal himself came because he was so pleased. And he came and gave darshan to him. And what a strange thing. Vitthal came to give darshan to him. And he is serving his parents at that time, pressing their feet. So he says that Vitthal is not only there, Vitthal is here also. I am serving him only. So he doesn't even look back. The two bricks which are there, he just pushes them. He says, you wait on this. Once I finish serving you here, then I will attend to you there. And Bhagavan is so pleased that he got stuck there only. So that idea is that a person who does that karma yoga, Bhagavan himself comes behind that person. In every path, this is said. So in karma yoga, you do karma yoga properly, Bhagavan comes. Bhakti yoga, it is said Bhagavan runs behind the real devotee. And that's why they say that, Naradji asked Bhagavan that, everybody meditates on you. Whom are you meditating on? And so that Bhagavan said that I am meditating on all those saints who live absolutely selflessly, completely absorbed in devotion. I am meditating on all those saints. And it is said in Bhakti literature that Bhagavan runs behind such devotees. Devotee also doesn't have to come to Bhagavan. So the idea is that karma yoga can lift us there. Ubhe sukrita duskrite. One drops both punya and papa. This is in contrast to those people who do lots of rites and rituals to get punya, so that with that punya one will go to heaven and then enjoy the things there. So in Karma Kand, in Veda, a lot of portion is Karma Kand, where people have to fulfill their desires. Not only fulfill the desires here, but enjoy subtler pleasures in the heaven. That is symbolic of all that we want to achieve, to enjoy more and more and more. They say that you can use your punya for that, or you can use the punya to get satsang and then go beyond birth and death. So Karma Yoga can lead us to that. Ubhe sukrita duskriti. Tasmad yogaya yujyasva. Hence, get connected to this attitude of karma yoga. Get united with this attitude. That no matter what I do, I can do it with the attitude of karma yoga. Everything I can do with the attitude of karma yoga. If I get up because I have to do my sadhana, a new day has come. If I eat only because I am a seeker and this much food is enough to maintain the body. If I serve people, I do anything in the family, I have that bhavana that I am serving the Lord only. So the Ishwar Arpan Buddhi, it is called Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is not in the action. And to narrate that, there is a very nice story in Mahabharata. It may be a little puzzling story also, but the concept has to be understood clearly. So there is this yogi who is meditating. Many years he has been meditating. Alone in the forest. And one day as he was meditating, he got the prasad from the bird. So then he just looked up and that bird got burnt. So he realized, oh my God, I have been meditating for so many years, now I have that power. And I just looked at the bird in little anger and the bird got burnt. So every day he used to go for bhiksha. So that day he went asking for bhiksha. So one lady's house, he went there asking for bhiksha. So the lady was serving her husband. So she said, Mahatma ji, please wait, I will just come. In 10 minutes I will just come. Please wait, please don't go. So he was waiting there and he said, what is this lady? Who is this lady? She, after all, is serving her husband. She doesn't know what a great Mahatma I am. I can just burn a bird with just my eyesight. What does she think? And he was thinking all these thoughts. And in 10 minutes that lady came out with the bhiksha and she offered it to him saying, sorry to keep you waiting, but please have the bhiksha. I didn't want to let you go empty handed, so thank you for waiting. And she gave. And that yogi, he was looking at her, and finally he took the bhiksha, and then the lady says, so you are the one who burnt that bird. So then he did not understand, how did you know? He said, yes, I know. My grace or my guru is there with me and I have been serving my family. And he said, who is your guru? He said, you go to such and such place and you will meet the guru. So when he went there, he found that this man is a butcher. Already his ego was pulverized. That how did this ordinary housewife know my powers? I was sitting alone in that forest and I got these powers. And how did she know that I burned the bird? So when he went there, he saw this butcher. He could not believe. He said, this man is a guru. So as he went closer, the butcher said, so you burned the bird and she sent you here. Now he got totally zapped. He said, what is this now? I am living in tapasya there in that forest alone and away from everybody and in solitude and meditating for so many years. And this one ordinary housewife, she has this much power, and this fellow is a butcher. Every day he is just killing so many animals and he has this power. Then this man explains to him that it is not the action, it is the bhav with which you are doing. My profession is I am a butcher, my family has been doing that and I am just continuing that. I don't mean to kill people, kill the animals, but that's the profession, I am in that. What is being done with the bhav of seva, that purifies the mind. So remember, in Karma Yoga there are two aspects always: action, act of service, and the spirit of service. And both are important. But in both these, the spirit of service is more important than the act of service. There are enough people who do act of service, but no spirit of seva is there behind. They do that act of service only for the sake of publicity. Not that one should not let other people know or all that. There is nothing wrong in that. But the bhavana, real bhavana behind it is if it is genuine seva. That seva bhav purifies the mind. So the act of service is one thing, the spirit of service is another thing. When I have the real bhavana behind it, and what is the bhavana? Ishvara arpana buddhi. And whatever I do, I offer it to the Lord. Why to the Lord only? Because only at the altar of the Lord I can dedicate my ego and lose my ego completely. At any other altar, I can't lose my ego completely. Whether it is a country, culture, community, people, poverty, illiteracy, science, any of these altars. Partly I lose the ego and then again it comes back. Only at the altar of the Lord, I dedicate myself totally. 24/7 I am a seeker, I am a devotee. And then I lose the ego. So that way, the spirit of service is that. So, tasmad yogaya yujyasva. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. And this yoga is dexterity in action. Because many people think that you become spiritual means anything you accept. Chalo, aaya theek, nahi aaya theek, kaise bhi hua, kaise bhi kar lo, khatam karo, ho gaya. I am the spiritual. There is nothing, spirituality doesn't make us lethargic and lazy and brings down our standards and have carelessness. That is exactly opposite of the spiritual approach. Yoga karma sukausham. Dexterity in action is yoga. It has to be very efficient. And that will come when the mind has this bhavana. See, if I love somebody, will I compromise? I want to give the best. No? If I love the Lord, if I love that field, I love the ideal which I am pursuing, I will give my best. People don't see that love aspect. Love and inspiration, they don't see together. If that love and inspiration is not seen together, then we misunderstand spirituality. ये तो spiritual लोग हैं, इनको तो कुछ भी चलेगा और कुछ भी चलेगा. There was one man who was with Gurudev for many years, and he went to, in early morning when Gurudev was writing letters, he went and he took tea for Gurudev. So that tea when he took for Gurudev, on that saucer, that one drop of tea had fallen. He gave to Gurudev. And Gurudev looked at him and said, "Do you think I am on a railway station? Go take it back." He didn't bring the tea. But why were you so careless and inefficient that you dropped that one drop of tea on the saucer? Another man who was sitting there, Gurudev writing the letter and giving it to him. So he has to fold and put it in the envelope. So there was one letter which was very small, this much only. Now the envelope is very big. But this man didn't bother. He just took the envelope, he put that small letter in that big envelope, pasted it, finished everything. And finally Gurudev used to check. So then he saw, this is small letter in this big envelope. So he didn't say anything to that man. He just quietly took that letter out, and the man is seeing Gurudev doing all this. He took his scissors, he cut that envelope, made it to the proper size, then put the letter back, sealed it, wrote back the address, put the stamp on it. Then he tells him that this is God's work. You are not doing my work. Don't compromise. Small things. And that's how he did. Every little detail. Because that bhavana is, this is divine work. It is not that, ye chalo jaldi khatam karo, 150 letters have to reply, khatam ho gaya. No, everything, small detail. And we have seen him living like that. Just imagine somebody, we get today emails, what we bother about emails so much. That time he had to write by his hand. Every day he would write almost 100 to 150 letters. One place, he gave the letter to that man to put the letter into the envelope, seal it, and put the stamp. So what he will do is, with the letter, the person's letter which has come, either that letter or that envelope he will give together, so that he knows that this letter reply is for this one. So he gave. And you know what that person did? He typed out all the addresses on the envelope, thinking that that much effort of Gurudev will be less. So he saw on the letter and the envelope, and then he typed up all the addresses on the envelope and he gave to Gurudev. When Gurudev looked at it, he said, "Why did you do this?" That man didn't understand why Gurudev is saying that. And Gurudev told him that, "Look, you don't know the joy of the devotee when he sees the address written in my handwriting. When the devotee sees that, he knows that this is a letter which has come from me and in my handwriting the address is written there. You can't imagine, because the devotee is waiting for the reply." And Gurudev's, his love also was so much. If you write a letter to him, in next 3 to 5 days, the reply has to come. And suppose the reply doesn't come in that much time, he will explain that your letter reads from here to here to here, because he used to travel. And the letter has to go to different places. So it's from here to here to here and reach my hands today. Why he has to explain all that? But see that feeling, that person will be waiting. That is called sensitivity, and that is called that bhavana. That this is divine work, this is not ordinary work. So in spiritual organizations, the standards must be absolutely high. Not ordinary compromising, kaise bhi kar lo, kuch bhi ho jayega, chalo. In the 12th chapter, Bhagavan gives a value of a devotee, Daksha. There is one value called Daksha. Daksha means one who is very alert and very efficient. Spirituality makes us efficient. Because my bhavana is, I am not doing it for my benefit. See, I do it for my benefit, there itself I take so much of care. Now I am doing it for the Lord or for a higher purpose, which I am inspired by. I have to give my best care. So that is called dexterity in action. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. With full present mindedness, alertness, with the right devotion and bhavana, one does that action. Such an action by itself is liberating. That is called karma yoga. So now this much part is karma yoga in the Gita. And the result of Karma Yoga is what we have seen. The person becomes peaceful, goes beyond Punya and Papa, doership reduces. That person, when one sits to meditate, mind will just soar in meditation. You don't have to put any efforts to bring the mind back again and again. That vikshepa is not there only, that wandering of the mind just disappears. That state, when the mind is gliding into that state, is called as samadhi. So now the next part, which we will see tomorrow, which we will see in the next session, is what is the most celebrated part of the Geeta, in the last 18 verses of the second chapter, which we call as Sthita Prajna Lakshana, the characteristics of a man of perfection. So what I would suggest is 1 month when you have this break, whenever the next session will be, in between from now till then, if you can read the commentary of Gurudev on these 18 verses, verse number 55 onwards. 54 is the question of Arjun. Sthita Prajna Lakshan, Sthita Prajnasya ka bhasha, samadhistasya keshava. So verse number 54 onwards you can read till verse number 72. These 18 verses are the crux, that what is the state of this perfection. This stands as a guiding light to us. This is the goal of life, this is what I have to achieve. Gandhiji used to chant these 18 verses every day. Sthita Prajna Lakshan every day. So you read that if you can. And if you like, you have time, read from 47 onwards. Because 47 is Karmanyavadhikarastha. From 47 to 72.